What is up, realized man? In today's video, I want to show you how you are in a war right now. And you can take the red pill or you can take the blue pill. It's up to you. I don't care. But I just want to give you all the information so that you can see just how detrimental the war is. And it's not a typical war. It's a psychological war. First of all, what is war and what's the purpose? War is usually armed conflict done between two different countries or different regions, and is to obtain a particular outcome. So country A might want the resources of country B. Country A might want the territory of country B. Country A might want to install certain political ideologies in country B. You get the point. There is a point. You don't just fight for no reason because there's too much at stake. Now, war, just like anything in life, goes through a series of evolutions. It's an iterative process that gets better and better and better. So if you were to go back a couple 100,000 years ago to some Neanderthals fighting prehistoric humans, they might be fighting over a pumpkin patch, and they might be fighting with spears and fire and sticks and rocks. Very primitive weapons. You fast forward a couple 1,000 years and you have Vikings. They've got boats now, they've got better weapons, better battle formations, and they're fighting over whose god is right. You fast forward a couple 1,000 years again, now might be a World War II, and people have got heavy artillery, they've got weapons, they've got guns and nukes and planes and all that stuff that we typically think of. So a lot of us, we make the mistake when we think of World War III, we're thinking that World War III or future wars are going to be exactly the same as the wars of yesterday. They're going to involve tanks, they're going to involve physical fighting. But that's not the case. The wars of tomorrow and the war we're in today are going to be psychological, because psychological warfare is a lot more potent than any type of physical warfare. It's a lot more long-lasting too, and a lot more effective. Just look at how everything has changed over the past 2 to 3 years, especially the past 2 years. And you'll see just how effective psychological warfare is. And it's being waged by big tech companies, or at least the people pulling their strings. I don't know who they are. Yeah, and hopefully this channel doesn't get deleted for this content. If it does, fuck it. This stuff needs to get out there so you can see just how dire things are. Now back to war. Sun Tzu said that the supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. The next evolution doesn't require fighting. It doesn't require fighting. It's all psychological. And to better understand this concept, I implore you watch this documentary on Netflix called The Social Dilemma. The general premise is there are a bunch of whistleblowers from these big tech companies, from Google, Facebook, Twitter, you name it. And they're all saying the same thing, singing the same song. They're saying these companies are getting too big. These companies are getting too influential. These companies are mining too much data. There's a serious problem going on here. And just like a lot of things in society, when something starts off, it's great. When social media comes out, when Steve Jobs introduces the iPhone, it's an amazing thing. It's amazing technology. We can now call our friends and see them. We can go on the internet. We can listen to music. It's a game changer. But time shows the repercussions. Time shows just how bad things can get. The second order and third order consequences that we didn't think of when we first got it. So the second order consequences of social media, of these phones becoming so addictive, is that people are now slaves to them. I sent an email the other day to my list and I said, send me your screen time. And a lot of people send me their screen time. On average, it was about 6 hours, 7 hours screen time. Now, my screen time is 1 hour average per day. A lot of people have 6 hours, 7 hours. That's ridiculous. That's pretty much most of your day that you're up. You're checking your phone. And you can just walk down the street and you see people just checking their phones. Now, if you were to talk to someone on the street and say, hey, how's it going? They'll look at you like you're a weirdo, like there's something wrong with you. Like you walked out of the house without your pants on. It's not a normal thing anymore. So this is what's happened. And on the back end of these social media platforms, the algorithms are getting smarter. They're mining more data. They're working, becoming more diabolical. Kind of like in Lord of the Rings, how Sauron was working in the background. The eye was just getting stronger and stronger, recruiting more orcs and shit. That's what's happening here. The AI is getting more sophisticated and knows what you like better than you do. That's why so many businesses spend money on Facebook. The algorithm is amazing. I bet you right now, when you go on YouTube, you spend more time on your home feed where YouTube can suggest all kinds of random crazy shit to you over your subscriptions list where you choose what you watch, because they have gone so good at suggesting videos that you're going to click on. Those clickbait titles with the booties and the elephants and the monkeys. Whatever your kink is. They've gone so good at that creates more dopamine, that releases more dopamine, and it's more exciting than what you choose for yourself. So you've given away your power. When you start seeing the convergence between the phones and the social media, you're creating powerful weapons of propaganda. Now you have people that can't get their eyes off the phone, people that are socially awkward, anxiety is going up, depression is going up, because we're no longer living in alignment with what it's like to be human.
Cut themselves or otherwise harm themselves. That number was pretty stable until around 2010, 2011, and then it begins going way up. It's up 62% for older teen girls. It's up 189% for the preteen girls. That's nearly triple. Even more horrifying, we see the same pattern with suicide.
You see, I was born in Africa, and in the late 90s, I used to play around my neighborhood with all the kids. My parents didn't care. They'll just let me go out. Everybody knew everybody. Everybody was always conversating, because this was before the internet and all that type of stuff. It was great. Now, I don't have kids, but a lot of my friends are having kids now, and it breaks my heart to see them all on TikTok, all on YouTube, no longer able to interact. This is not normal. But as I keep saying, this is the surface level problem. The deeper level is that these tools are being used to program people. If you're spending 6 hours, 7 hours on the screen, you are being programmed like a motherfucker, right? You're being programmed over and over again. It's insane how much you're being programmed. Which leads me to the next step, the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind accepts what is told to it on a repeated basis, over and over again. It just accepts it as truth. Our brains are quite simple things. When you were 3 years old, or whenever you were in grade 1, you were told that 1 + 1 = 2. Initially, you were like, I don't know if I believe this. So 1 + 1 = I don't know, these are just symbols. But no, you were told over and over again, 1 + 1 = 2. And eventually you just accept it. You're like, okay, 1 + 1 = 2. Then you're told 1 + 2 = 3, and so on. So you're just accepting these things, you're remembering, you're consciously working it out. And it gets to a point where it's automatic. If someone shows you 1 + 1, you automatically know it's 2. You don't have to work it out, because the brain just accepts what's told to it over and over again. Abiding, it's reasonable. You know, we have a thing called the critical faculty in the subconscious mind that kind of filters information. It goes, is this true? If I was to tell you I'm an alien right now or an elf, you wouldn't believe it because it's not consistent. But if I was to tell you that I'm from Kenya, you'd be like, all right, he's black. It kind of makes sense. So what these big tech companies do is they reinforce their messages. They show you the impressions over and over and over again. But not at once. It's not like they're going to show you the propaganda at once. It's going to be on an intermittent reinforcement schedule, which means they might show you one message here, they go in the background. You get some good content. Then they might show you 3 messages here. You get some good content. So that's how it goes. Ad infinitum, over and over again. You get program with thousands of messages. And you're staying engaged because the algorithms they've built over the years are so good that they know what you like better than what you know. Allowing the algorithm to give you whatever it wants, baby. Whatever it wants to program you with. You probably spend more time on the home feed. You know, I do too, right? You probably spend more time on the explore feed because they've gone so good at giving you what you want based on the data they've been mining. Remember, Saruman building the orcs in the background. They're just mining and mining and mining this data. But now it's come back full circle. They're using it against you to create changes. Past 2 years have been so different. Things have changed. In the past, no one gave a shit what anyone jabbed into their arm, right? No one cared. there's always been certain things floating around or certain problems that people would have. But you wouldn't ask every second person you met if they had something to protect themselves or not, because you didn't care. It wasn't part of the culture. It wasn't part of the ethos. It wasn't normal to ask weird things like that. But now you have families battling it out with each other. Neighbors snitching on each other. People ready to kill because someone is taking something or someone's not taking something. How did we get here? It's because of the big daddies in the background programming from big tech. Whoever they are, pulling the strings. Pull a little string here, string here. You want to hear the other side of the story? You want to hear some new information that mass media is not telling you? No, we're going to censor that. You can't see that. You're not allowed to see that, bad boy. This is how the programming happens. And the most insidious aspect of this is these ideas are put into your mind over and over and over again, where you can't even see that's happening. The most obvious being the past 2 years with the fact checkers, with the telling you to go to a particular website to get information about a particular thing, and only this website will tell you about that thing. I'm sure you've seen it. So they keep telling you over and over and over again, and you start to believe that this information that you've been seeing is actually your thoughts, that you came up with it. This was your conscious decision to believe this. You did the research. You believe in this because you looked into it. But that's not the case at all. You've been used as a pawn. And this is the warfare of the future. You can push your agendas, no matter what they are, whether it's medical agendas, whether it's political agendas, whether you want to sway an election, whether you want to demonize someone, whether you want to cancel someone, you can do it with this new propaganda tool because everybody's glued onto their phones. Everybody's getting brainwashed. And I want to tell you about the subconscious mind. It accepts everything by default. If I was to tell you right now, for the love of God, please, I'll give you $1 million. Do not think of Joe Biden arm wrestling Donald Trump. You think of it. The brain's lazy. You think of it. That's already a little seed planted. Now imagine if I told you that 1,000,000 times over. You wouldn't stop having dreams about it. So shit's crazy. Now you might be wondering, Isaac, you're scaring the crap out of me. What can we do about this? How can I take the red pill? I can see that certain agendas are being pushed. The world's changing before my eyes very quickly. How can I protect myself? Well, it's a multi-step process. The first thing I suggest is you learn about the subconscious mind. You learn about the subconscious mind so that you can become more protective of your inner matrix. Now, I used to watch a lot of horror films, used to listen to a lot of gangster rap, a lot of deathcore, but I've distanced myself away from a lot of that stuff because I've learned more about the subconscious mind, become more in tune with myself. I've become more sensitive to these things, to these impressions. I've realized that, okay, if I watch this thing, it's going to give me nightmares. I'm going to start my day off bad tomorrow. It's going to trickle on. It's going to affect my work, my productivity. It's going to make me feel like shit. So you start seeing the chain of your decisions when you understand how the subconscious mind works, how the seeds grow into plants in your mind. So you start protecting yourself. The second thing you can do is to learn about group psychology. People tend to behave very badly when under the influence of groups. When everybody is doing something, you can rationalize a lot of horrors. And you only need to look at the past to see examples of this. A lot of people, they're fascinated by the Holocaust. Like, oh, how could people do that? I would never do that. I would never let the Jews burn like that. I would save them. Yeah, I would. No, you won't. No, you wouldn't. The stakes are not even that high today and you wouldn't do anything. When groups are involved, people think differently. Now, this is just an evolutionary thing. People think differently. Atrocities can happen. Look at the genocide of Rwanda. Look at the Holocaust. Look at certain things that were seen as normal. Burning witches. A lot of innocent people probably died because of that. Maybe some of them were witches, I don't know. But a lot of innocent people probably died. Foot binding in China is the example I'm always giving. Breaking little girls' feet to make them look cute. That was normal. a whole nation thought that was normal. So a lot of bullshit can happen when people stop questioning the herd, stop questioning the group. They become sheep. A good book to read on this is The Lucifer Effect by Philip Zimbardo, I believe his name is, or Zimbardo. He's basically the guy who came up with the Stanford prison experiment. And he talks a lot about this. It's a dense book and it will open your eyes. The third thing you want to do is keep away from the bullshit. Control the inputs coming in. So there's a lot of cool apps that you can get on the computer, Google Chrome, that block websites. So I've got one that blocks YouTube thumbnails, that blocks breaking news. It does all sorts of stuff to stop me from seeing stuff. Blocks news feeds. There's apps on your phone. The first one that comes to mind is Freedom, that blocks certain apps at certain times. So you don't spend 8-10 hours on your phone getting programmed with nonsense. I suggest you be more deliberate. Become a digital minimalist. And I've got a video on that you can check out. I've got videos on everything. Take control of where you're putting your time, which leads to the fourth point here. Take care of your inner matrix. We're so concerned with the outside world, the outer inputs. Take charge of your inner world. You do this through meditation. And I've been talking about this for years. Meditation is key. Breath work, which is a new one I've been doing. Things like yoga, things that take you away from the outside world and bring you into the inside world. Learning about lucid dreaming. These things are powerful. Too many people think that out there is all there is, when a lot of stuff that's inside is more important. Stoicism, a wonderful philosophy. I've got plenty of videos on that. You need to learn to strengthen your mind so that you can't get controlled. Most people don't have strong minds. They went through the schooling system, which never taught them how to have strong minds. They went into the 9-to-5, which told them to be submissive. They don't have strong minds. They're not going to have strong minds ever. But you can be different. You can work on yourself. You can read books. You can take time out. And that's the only way you can survive this new war. It's harder. It takes more energy. You need to be more deliberate, but it's well worth it. Nothing is greater than owning yourself. There's a cool quote by Nietzsche that I shared. I can't remember right now, but something like, no price is greater than owning yourself. Do this, and I promise you'll be one step closer to living and dying well. Thanks for watching the video. I appreciate you. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel and click the bell notifications so we can see more of each other. Until next time.